Hey, this is Pam from Moms Around This Town, and today I'm going to show you how to make a cheap version of a little fancy pants, we will call them. This is like a little sparkly skirt that you can wear for races or whatever. So this is the one that I made as my demo. The first one I'm going to show you how to make is super easy. It's for you that don't know how to sew that well or that don't know how to sew at all. It's very basic, so hopefully you can stick with me. The first thing you're going to need is, this is an inch and a half wide elastic. It comes in black and white, and you can get it at Hobby Lobby, most craft stores. It's $2.59 for a pack, and it has about 1.25 yards in there. This should fit most waistlines. If not, you can always piece it together if you need more. Basically what you're going to want to do is measure your waist where you want the skirt to fall. I like mine to fall a little bit on my hips. And make sure that if you're wearing blue jeans or something thicker that you strip down, I will save you from that. And I know pretty much where I need mine, but you just pull it tight and kind of overlap it a little bit. Mark where you want it, and then you're going to cut it off. I already have my piece that I know that I want to cut off, so I'm just going to measure that real quick to make sure that I'm doing this right. Okay, so that's my excess. You just toss that aside. This is going to be my waistband. You are going to want to overlap it a little bit by about 1.5 inches just to make sure that it stays together. So you can go ahead and put that together and then take a pin and pin it. And then we can set that aside. And then for fabric choices, there's a ton of different fabrics. Basically, you just want something that's going to breathe a little bit, that's lightweight for running. They have this sparkly material. This is $5.99 at Hobby Lobby. And of course, you can use a 40% off coupon if they have one out. And then this is the one that I made the other skirt out of. It's kind of like a Lycra type fabric. And it actually has this really cool lime green back to it, which is what I made the little contrasting piping out of. But we're not going to do that for this skirt. We'll start basic. Okay, so this is actually 3/8 yard of fabric. It's about 13 inches. Just depending on how long you want your skirt, you can go 1/3 yard or you can go up to 1/2 yard. But really, like I think 1/3 yard makes like a 12-inch skirt. So this is 3/8 yard, and you're just going to want to open it up. So you have it like this, fold it inside out like that. So the nice part of the skirt's on the inside. And then you can either pin it together so that it stays in place, or if you're like me, you can wing it, but I will try to pin it real quick just so everything stays in place. And then if you have a sewing machine, it's real easy just to sew a straight line. You're just going to sew it together. If you don't have a sewing machine or you don't know how to sew, you take a needle and a thread and you tie a knot at one end, and you literally just go up and down, up and down, up and down until you get to the end of the fabric, and then you tie another knot. Not that hard. You may want to reinforce the top and the bottom just to make sure it stays, but before I had my sewing machine, that's what I did for pretty much everything, and it worked. And really, you're only going to use this for like a one-time skirt. This isn't going to be something that you're going to wash and wear or sell or whatever. Okay, so I have my fabric inside out. I have it pinned down here just to keep it in place, and I'm just going to sew a straight line down here to make one big loop. Okay, so you have this, and you can actually cut off these selvage edges if you want to. I'm just going to leave them for now. You're going to turn your skirt like this. So now you see you have one big skirt thing or whatever. Again, this was enough to fit me. I'm about a size 4'6", so it just depends on what your size is and how full you want the skirt. If you want it more full, obviously you can take 2 of these and piece them end to end, sew them together, and it'll be really full, or 1.5 or whatever. But see how wide it is on me now? It's going to bunch up and it's going to be flowy. You do want it to be somewhat flowy, because if it's perfectly smooth and perfectly tight all the way around, you're not going to be able to run in it. That's why you either need a slit like this one has. This one's not quite as full, or you just need it to be a little bit more full. Okay, so you have your big loop like this, and place that down like that. And then you have your elastic. Let me sew this. Basically you just sew, you want to sew kind of like a square on here just to make sure it really stays in place. So let me sew that real quick. And if you are using a sewing machine, remember to back stitch, which just means you sew forward and then you sew back just a little bit, and it just kind of locks the stitches in place. And that way you can pull on it, and you know, if you pull it on or off or whatever, it's not going to come undone. Okay, so you have your loop here. Now what you're going to do, and hopefully you can see the table, is as you can see, the skirt is bigger than the elastic, obviously. So we're going to pin the fabric in 4 places. We're going to pin either side, and then front and back. And that way it just kind of distributes the fabric evenly rather than having a whole bunch of bunches on one side and being smooth on the other. And you're going to pin it on the inside of the fabric. So all you see is the big band here, and then on the back you're going to see a little bit of fabric. You want to do it about halfway up just to make sure that you have enough room to sew on there and to make sure it stays in place. We don't want any wardrobe malfunctions going on. Make sure that obviously your seam is going to go down your back, so make sure you fold it out that way. And then we're going to pin, and then the back of the elastic is going to go in the back too. Okay, so now you have it, see how it's kind of falling down, you have it in 4 places. Now you can go in between these and find the center and pick it up and pin it there. And it's supposed to be baggy there. I'll show you what to do with it in just a second. Okay, so now you have your skirt pretty much pinned up so that it's staying up like this. What you're going to do is you're going to sew, but when you sew, you're actually going to stretch the elastic in the front and in the back, and see how it's baggy there, but when you stretch it, it's tight like this. And that way it will match the fabric and kind of create that gathered look, and it'll be even all the way around. But just make sure that when you're sewing, when you're stretching the elastic, don't sew and then just pull on one side, because you will break a needle and probably break your sewing machine. So just make sure that when it's coming through the back, that you're pulling on the back and you're pulling on the front too, to make sure it stretches out. If you are doing this by hand, again, it's going to be a little bit more tedious, but you just tack it in a bunch of different places. So you just kind of weave in and out, you know, making sure that you gather all the fabric and whatever. It's going to be a little bit more time consuming, but it gets the job done, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper than having to buy one if you're only going to wear it once. Okay, so I'm going to start in the back. Where's my back? There's my back. Okay, so basically this is it. Here's your little sparkle skirt. You can see on the inside where it's kind of gathered a little bit. Hopefully you can see that, I don't know. And I would suggest doing one more stitch. Now that you have it in place, you're still going to have to stretch and pull, but you won't need the pins this time. But just do one more stitch underneath that one, just to make sure that it stays in place and it's reinforced or whatever. The first one that I made, I was trying to be cute and do like a contrasting thread, so I used aqua. Kind of recommend black, looks a little bit better. But it's just a very basic skirt and looks cute. This one I did not hem the edge on, I just left it raw. This fabric will not fray, and this fabric will not fray. The shiny blue fabric will not fray. So, I mean, you could definitely leave it raw if you don't want to do a hem. On this one, I did do a hem just because, I don't know, I'm an overachiever, I guess. So that's that, and that's it, the end.